We're going to read a book called Managing Money by Linda Brennan. Money jingled in Tomas's pocket as he walked. He eyed candy bars, comic books, and toys as he wandered the store with Mia. "What are you going to buy?" he asked. Mia shook her head. "Just the lemons, sugar, and cups we need for the lemonade stand. I'm not getting anything for myself. I'm going to save my money." "All of it?" Tomas asked. "For what?" "A new bike," Mia responded. Tomas's Uncle Tito and Mom were nearby. "It's not good to spend all of your money," said Uncle Tito, "but you shouldn't save it all either." Tomas's mom agreed. People who are wise about money spend some of it, save some of it, and give some of it to help others. They have a budget. A money plan. Not just grown-ups, kids too. Tomas took the change out of his pocket and looked at it. If he spent less on candy and other things, he could save some of his money to buy the video game he's been wanting. "Hey, Mia, when we get back to my house, let's each make a budget," he said. "That's a good idea," said Mia. "Uncle Tito, will you help us?" asked Tomas. "Of course," he replied. "Now here's a challenge for you. Discover your own money habits. Next week, keep track of the money you spend. List what you bought and how much it cost." So after putting away their lemonade stand supplies, Tomas and Mia sat down with Uncle Tito. They had a paper and pens and were ready to make their budgets. "How do we start?" Mia asked. "A budget should start with your income," he told them. "If you get a weekly allowance, write it down." "What about the money I earned from mowing Rosita's lawn next door?" asked Tomas. "List that too," said Uncle Tito. "Don't forget what we earned from our lemonade stand," said Tomas. "That's right," Mia exclaimed. "Add up all your income," said Uncle Tito, tapping Tomas's pad. "That's how much money you can plan on each week." Here's a challenge for you. Calculate your weekly income. Figure out the following amounts: your allowance, your earnings, and whatever else you earn money for. Add all of those amounts together. That's going to be your income. "Spending comes next?" asked Tomas. "Right," Uncle Tito smiled. "First, figure out your expenses. These are the things you need to buy." "I need to buy chocolate bars and comic books," Tomas declared. Those are wants, silly, not needs," said Mia. "She's right, Tomas," said Uncle Tito. "Needs are things you must have to live. You need food and clothes, but you don't need candy bars and expensive sneakers. Those are things you want." Mia bounced in her seat. "I know another example," she said. "We need transportation to school, but we don't need to take a taxi or a limousine." "Good one," said Uncle Tito. "So what needs do I pay for?" asked Mia. "I can't think of any." "That's because your family pays for your needs. They usually buy the groceries and pay for your house. And things like water and electricity, right?" Tomas added. "Exactly," Uncle Tito replied. "Wait," Mia shouted. "I thought of a need. The lemonade stand Tomas and I bought supplies for it today." "You're right, Mia. Add that to your list of weekly needs," said Uncle Tito. "Add them up. Next, subtract the needs total from your income. The amount you have left is extra each week." Tomas and Mia showed Uncle Tito their totals. Both figured out that they had more income than expenses. "That's great, kids," said Uncle Tito. "How will you use your extra money? Your choices will depend on your goals." "I'd like to see that new animated movie," said Mia. "That's a short-term goal," said Uncle Tito. It's something you plan to pay for soon in the next few weeks. There's a video game I want, but it's expensive, said Tomas. Then you'll need to save for a while, Uncle Tito explained. That's a long-term goal. Here's a challenge for you. Think of things you'd like to have or do. Make a list of your short-term goals and your long-term goals. Now comes the fun part, Uncle Tito said. Figure out how you're going to reach your goals. How much will you spend now? How much will you save for your goal? Tomas scratched his head. A candy bar costs $1. If I buy 3 candy bars and eat half each day, that would cost me $3 each week. I would have $6 left over to save for that video game. Mia jumped up. But at Save-A-Rama, you can buy 3 candy bars for $2. If you do that, Tomas, you'll have $7 left to save toward your video game. That's a great idea, thanks, said Tomas. Here's another challenge for you. Spend smart. Look for bargains. If you pay less for one thing, you'll have more money to spend on something else. Very good advice. Wait, said Mia. I think we're forgetting something. Your mom mentioned giving money to help others. My family donates money. Giving is important, said Uncle Tito. Tomas nodded. Miss Singh talked to us in class about an earthquake. All those people lost their homes and belongings. My Aunt Donna is a nurse, said Mia. She told me some children don't have enough food to eat, and they can't afford medicine when they're sick. Don't forget about the animals, said Tomas. I want to help save endangered species and take care of abandoned pets, like the ones at the animal shelter, added Mia. It's a great idea to include giving in your budget, said Uncle Tito. You've noted some really good ideas for donating some of your money. What next? Asked Tomas. Well, said Uncle Tito, the next step is to put your plans into action. How do we do that? Asked Tomas. Some kids use 3 jars, replied Uncle Tito. They label 1 spend, 1 save, and the 3rd give. They put a set amount of money in each jar every week. Is it okay to use an envelope instead? Asked Mia. Sure, Uncle Tito answered. The important thing is to stick to your budget. I know what I'm going to do with my extra money this week, said Mia. I'll put $2 in a spend envelope, $4 in a save envelope, and $1 in a give envelope. That will leave $5 for my bank account. I'm going to use jars instead of envelopes, added Tomas. I'm going to divide my money between them. You two are money wise, said Uncle Tito. Mia and Tomas slapped hands as they chanted, We're budget pros. Awesome. Let's take a look at our glossary. Budget. A budget. Our glossary is going to give us our definitions for the words that we heard in the story. So the first word we have here, it looks like it's going to be budget. A budget. This is money. This is a money plan that shows money earned and spent. Tomas and Mia created budgets for themselves. Our next word is donate. Donate is to give money or goods to a charity. Tomas and Mia decided to donate part of their extra money. Endangered species. This is a plant or animal that is at risk for no longer existing, likely because of something humans have done. Tomas wants to donate money to help endangered species. Expense is our next vocabulary word. An expense is the cost of or the price paid for something. As part of making a budget, Tomas and Mia listed their expenses. expensive. Expensive means to cost a lot of money. The video game Tomas wants to buy is expensive. Goal. A goal is something you want to do. Tomas has a long-term goal of buying an expensive video game. Do you remember what the short-term goal was? And income. That's our last vocabulary word here listed in our glossary. And income is money that a person earns or is given. As part of making a budget, Tomas and Mia listed their income. Now let's look back and find out how to make a budget. That seemed important to me. We can all make our budget.